Good evening and welcome to Woodbridge for our third annual celebration of Women's History Month. If it's always the weather that messes things up for us, we would have been out there raising our flag. I appreciate each and every one of you coming here to celebrate with us. This was an event that we started in council 3 years ago because I believe it's very important to recognize the women and the work that we do, not only as mothers, but I mean, as you can see in the room, there's a multitude of different careers here. And it's important for me to feature women in our township because the young women need to see us mature women in our careers in order for us to motivate them and for us to be examples to them. The goal is always to fill the room, to go out there and have everyone there from the little, yeah, but what are they called? The brownies, the daisies. I was never a Girl Scout, as you can tell. To hopefully one day we'll see high school girls here. You know, my goal is always to inspire, to motivate, and to mentor young women. And I hope that for all of you that are sitting here, that you take that on too. We have our wonderful women of our distinctive Woodbridge Police Department. And now we can say we have our wonderful women of our Woodbridge Township Fire Districts. I especially want to welcome Amanda Felices and Emily Choleric. They were just sworn in last week at Port Reading Firehouse. For the first time in history, Port Reading Firehouse swore 2 women. So that's... So see, it's 2024, but we are still making strides and we are still achieving first. And that's what we should always keep in mind, that we are continually moving forward as women and accomplishing first editions of things. And that's why we want to bring that into the forefront, because it is important for us to be recognized for the work that we do. I had the privilege of yesterday speaking at Berkeley College. Women of Courage, they call it trailblazers, and I don't consider myself a trailblazer, but I brought my daughters with me because I always like my daughters to see as women what we can achieve. But it was very important to be there because, you know, one of the things that I realized is that we forget how strong as women we are. And something that, while I was sitting there, clicked is the fact that women bring forth life. And we have that huge job on our shoulders. We have our careers, but we still got to be moms. We still got to make sure that they eat, they do their homework. We got to show up for them whenever there's an issue. And, you know, a lot of times I know for myself, like I remember one time, you know, working at ABC Sports, I was in New York City, and all of a sudden Angel calls me, oh, because Christian decided to take his tricycle down the steps of the deck. And I'm like, okay, but I'm in the city, so why are you calling me? But you know what I did? I ended up leaving my office, getting on the subway, getting on the train to get to Woodbridge to make sure that the baby was okay. But that's what we do. And sometimes we don't get enough appreciation for the work that we do, but I want you all to know that I appreciate the work that you do as moms, as wives, as first, you know, in everything. We got it because our strength is in the fact that we were born to bring forth life, so our strength is inner strength. And I want you all to remember that even on your worst days, you have inner strength to get through whatever you're going through. And I'm done speaking because I can go on forever. But I have my councilmates, Debbie Meehan and Sharon McAuliffe, and they are 2 businesswomen here in Woodbridge. So, you know, they have that inner strength and that, hey, I can do this. So I'll let them speak for a little bit. And then we are here today because we are also going to recognize somebody that is very dear to our heart, Patricia Osborne. And Patricia was raised in Woodbridge, right? And she taught in the Woodbridge School District. So she taught a lot of children, touched a lot of lives. But not only that, but I have the privilege today of saying that technically she was the first woman mayor of Woodbridge Township because she got to serve in the office of mayor. She is also a former councilwoman, the former vice chair for the Human Rights Commission. So although she retired and a couple of years ago, many years ago, she still wants to serve her community. And she wants to do it in a way that brings equity and equality to our township. So with that being said, I just want to bring her up for her to say a few words, because we're very proud to be in her presence, and we're proud of the work that she's done for our township, and we're deeply grateful for everything that she did for us. So we're going to recognize her as Women of Women's History Month 2024, presented to Patricia. I need my reading glasses. Meritorious Service Award presented to Patricia Osborne 2024 in honor of outstanding dedication to the Woodbridge Township community through steadfast public service on both the Municipal Council and Human Rights Commission.
Well, thank you. Would you like to- Well, thank you for that kind introduction. Yes, I was born in Woodbridge Township. We didn't go to Perth Amboy Hospital at that time. The doctor came to the house. I was raised in Fords. I moved to Island, so I've been here all of my life. And one of the wonderful things about Women's History Month is that it cuts across centuries. It's almost timeless, because women have played a dynamic role in the history of mankind. And I hate to use that word mankind. Maybe I should have said humankind. Humankind. All right. So we have recording of women marching before the French Revolution. We have women who have played a role right here in New Jersey, for example. We had Molly Pitcher during the American Revolution. She gave the men water as they were fighting in the Battle of Monmouth. We also had Clara Barton during the Civil War. She eventually formed the American Red Cross. We had women suffragettes who were put in jail because they wanted the right to vote. And as a result of their marches, we have the 19th Amendment, which gave the women the right to vote. Throughout history, in 1976, we had the Women's Peace March, and who can forget 2019, we had the Women's March that not only encompassed the United States. There were 3 to 5 million women in the United States who participated. You can remember them marching down in Washington, D.C., and towns and cities across our nation, but 85 countries around the world also supported it. So even though there's that old saying, behind every man, there's a good woman. Well, I'm going to just update it. We're going to change that B word. It's not going to be behind. It's going to be beside every good man. It's a great woman. And the recent census said that women make up 51% of our population. So perhaps in the next decade, that quotation will change again, that in front of every good man is a great woman. So I really want to take this on behalf of the women that are nameless, who participated in all the marches, who are the glue that keep our society going. So on behalf of the women in this room, and perhaps in the viewing audience, I'd like to accept this, because there are many, many unsung heroes, or heroines, if you want to say, that do the day-to-day operation and keeps our society functioning. So it has been, it's my honor to accept this, and thank you so much.
I would like to recognize Jenny Perez. She's Board of Ed, and Denise Anderson, Human Rights Commission. And I would also like to recognize Assembly Speaker Craig Coughlin. I don't know if you have a few words to share with us. I'm putting you on the spot.
Well, thank you, Lizbeth, and thanks everybody for coming out. Congratulations to my friend Pat Osborne. I've had the privilege of representing the council when she served on it a number of years ago, and I can tell you that she is a woman who has made a true difference. Now, Let me tell you about this. I think you're right when you say that there are, that's an old adage that behind every great man is a woman. That's nonsense. I have had the privilege in my life to be surrounded by extraordinary women who are strong and powerful and who make a difference every day. It started with my mom. My dad died when I was 4 years old. And my mother raised my sister and I on her own. And she taught us everything that we needed to know. My mom taught me how to throw a baseball. My mom taught me how to love sports. My mother taught me everything that I needed to know about being a parent. And she did it all by herself without her once saying, woe is me. She was 35 when her husband died. And so she was an extraordinary woman and an incredible example. Consequently, my sister was too, and I've gotten to live live with her growing up, and now got to see the woman that she is. And any of you who know my wife know that she is an incredibly strong woman. Usually, if there's ever an argument between my wife and a guy, no matter how big he is, I have to step in and stop it because it's just not fair to him. It's not going to end well. And so too with people like Pat, and with Sharon and Debbie and Lisbeth and all of the people I have come to, all of the women I've had the privilege of serving with throughout my elected career. Women are extraordinarily good at so many things, but they're often graded on a different scale. It's harder for you. You have that challenge that, men are strong and forceful, and women, if they're strong and forceful, are often seen as being a pain in the neck or a shrew. So it's just not fair. I will tell you this, though. I think that we are so much better off now, and I'm proud of what we have done in the legislature. More members of my senior legislative staff are women than men. More of my leadership team, senior leadership team from among the assembly are women than men. Because their talent and their commitment is unparalleled and unmatched. And I think they're better at it than men in a lot of respects. And I just don't think you get the credit for that. So thank God we're celebrating you. Thank God for doing it. And I can tell you this, and there's a great example of this. And I don't know if anybody's ever disagreed with me, so tell me if you disagree. That men are manual typewriters and women are supercomputers. And the example I would give that is the one that you've heard so many times. When you come back from visiting the Smiths, you get in the car to drive home, and the wife says to the husband, so what's new with Bob? And so you go, nothing. What's new with Jane? And we take the rest of the ride home, finding out what the heck is going on in the family. In that regard, I have been so incredibly fortunate, and I am here to celebrate women and all that you do. Your struggle has been remarkable, and the commitment and tenacity that has finally gotten us to the point, I think, where we're starting to recognize women. Although we still have great work to do. The first bill I passed when I became the Speaker, A1, was an equal pay bill. And it is preposterous in 2018 that we had to pass a bill to say that women got paid the same as men to do the same job as men. And I fear that that still is not the case. So there's still work to be done. So keep it up and remind us how important you are. We all know it, but it never hurts to hear it again. Thank you. It's a privilege to be with you.
We are joined by our Council President, Kyle Anderson. I want to recognize two couple of young women that work in the mayor's office that without them we wouldn't be able to do the work that we do. That's Megan Kushpa, Nicolette Dunn, and Kelly Walsh. I really appreciate everything that you do. And then we have our Director of Planning, Marta Levsky, who is a pioneer in her field, and she has been dedicated to Woodbridge for a long time. So I want to acknowledge them. And before Port Reading swore, they're firewomen. Woodbridge did that. So I want to acknowledge Firewoman Andrea sitting here with us. And Kyle, I don't know if you want to say a few words.
Just
Go ahead.
very small. 'Cause, you know, I think, 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 you know not because of the event. It's mainly because our speaker can go at length when he's very no, but when he's passionate, about something, and I've heard that conversation about his mother, and he's told me a lot of what his mom has meant to him. But one in particular that's being honored here tonight, Mrs. Pat Osborne. She was my psychology teacher, but she was also a mother that I knew growing up. So I pretty much grew up in her backyard because that was our little makeshift football field. And but Mrs. Osborne was always a mentor to me from the day that I, stepped in JFK High School. I was close with her son. But when I went to JFK High School, she always, being that her husband was the former football coach, I could tell she always was drawn to the football players and in their class, and she knew how to speak to them. She knew how to kind of reel them in, and she also knew how to motivate them. And Mrs. Osborne, when she became a councilwoman here, Woodbridge Township, and succeeding her husband, who had passed while he was in the position, she became a trailblazer for these three women. I thought that the way she was a councilwoman here in Woodbridge Township, we were able to look to her for guidance, and I also felt that she led with distinction in the fact that she knew that she was setting an example for so many more women that were going to come beyond her. I see our newest fire person in Port Reading, Emily Kalandrick, is a friend of my daughter's when growing up playing softball. And this room itself, 20 years ago, we didn't see this. We didn't see women in uniform to this amount. And it's great to see, and it shows that Woodbridge is a diverse town. Woodbridge is embracing the fact that we have to continually evolve, and we have to continually get better for the residents that we serve. So I just want to, thank all of you today, congratulate all of our honorees, and I want to also thank my colleagues that I work with, because they too are women in history, and they should be acknowledged for the work that they do and the attention that they bring to the young women that are watching them every day. So thank you very much.
We want to also acknowledge Rishma Ali, she's part of the Human Rights Commission, and Glenn Morgan, who heads the Human Rights Commission, and Lisa DeLeo, who runs Port Reading School 9, by the way. So I want to acknowledge her, but I just want to leave you with a quote. Many years ago, I was reading something, and I forgot who said it. I did, okay, yeah. Educate a woman, and you educate a nation. So I think that's all that I need to say, but I want to bring my councilmates and invite them to say a few words.
So we'll be brief because the men took up all the time. They say women talk, but the men talk.
Men talk more.
I just want to congratulate all of you. It's so great to see all your faces. I started on the council, I'll be going into my 11th year now. And when I started, there wasn't as many females on the fire department, on the first aid squad, on the police department. And it really is, it's a beautiful sight. And we all work so well together. And I'm just so proud of all of you. And you do great work and continue to do everything you do.
I'm always the last person to speak at the council meeting too, so I always say, I agree with everything that everybody has said up here. I always get to say the same thing. But it is an honor to be, like myself and Debbie, we're both business women, and it was hard to break into the field as a single woman being in business. So we really appreciate everything that you guys have done now to show that women have just as much power and can get out there and do everything that a man does. We may not be able to lift as much weight as them, but we can lift weight in other ways. So congratulations to everyone. Ms. Osborne, thank you very much. You've done so much for this town, and I'm so happy that you received this award. Congratulations. Thank you.